Open communication in teamwork is key. Hello! And today's insight is going to be about communication. Well, I talked about teamwork specifically in this case, but this applies to anything. Open communication applies to anything and everything. I specifically talked of teamwork, but it also talks of when you're trying to relay a message, when you're trying to communicate that you have an issue or that you have something you're not happy with or whatever the case may be. And the reason why I'm talking about this is picture yourself, all right? Or picture a situation where something goes awry and all of a sudden the person feels shy and the people around them are like, what just happened? So now, what is going to happen the most, right? Is it going to be that the people around that person are going to start asking questions? Or are they just going to look at this thing and be like, okay, I have a thing to do. They're not going to ask questions. They're going to stick to what actually happened and then, either move on with their day or just start imagining stuff. But because they don't have the entire message, because they don't know the entire situation, they can't really make a build sound reasoning behind it. So they might go off on complete and unrelated tangents, right? So it is up to the person who is the center of the attention, the person who has caused the kerfuffle, if you will, to actually explain what just happened. And I'm going to explain briefly. So, after my accident, became an impulsive individual. What does that mean? Which means that due to my coma, due to my having been hit by a car, doctors put me in this coma for 85 days to keep me alive. And when I woke up from those 85 days, alright, I had reverted back to the mental age of a 3-year-old. Now, some situations I was comfortable in, others I wasn't. Sometimes, when surprises happen, and it still is the case at times, when surprises happen, there's like a in my brain, it's like there's something that just goes, what just happened? And I get stuck and I don't know what to do. It's like my brain just freezes. It's like, what just happened? And doesn't necessarily think things clearly quick enough. So I do stupid stuff. Right? Now, one of those cases, alright, especially when I'm in a fast-paced environment where there's a lot of noise, a lot of movement, a lot of things happening at once, I can't necessarily process all the information, and I need to do things quickly, and I might do things in a wrong way, which will result in some people not really understanding what is going on. So in those situations, it was up to me, the person who was out of the norm, to clearly articulate what was happening. So I'm going to give you an example, alright? One day I was at university and I went to I was in break during class. We had 15 minutes, and I remember having gone outside, going to the shop to buy something. And I wanted to buy something, and the clerk behind the cash explained something to me, but it hadn't really computed, or I hadn't really registered. So I asked something that was completely in, like, disregard of what they said. So they looked at me funny and they were like, well, I just told you I can't. And so in my mind, I had forgotten, because my short-term memory is slightly wonky due to the accident. It's not as wonky anymore, but back then it was like 5-6 years post accident, so it was more touch and go, right? Especially that it took me a minimum of 7 years to get back to what I used to be, or to get back to a understandable operational level in society. So it didn't I it didn't compute in my mind. So when I didn't remember that little bit of information, and that they were like surprised I didn't, like, it had not computed that I might not have been, I might not have heard all she had to say, but they didn't understand why this happened. So like, to them, I'm completely normal, so this should not have happened. So I was like, why, like, I don't know what they were thinking, but clearly they're like, okay, something's wrong in this girl's head. And that was right, but I didn't think of explaining the fact that I was hit by a car a couple of years ago at the time. But now I do. I'm quite open and expressive about the fact that that is what happened to me, and that might be a factor at play. But I mean, the farther I get from that situation, the less and less I can blame the car accident, because at this point, it really doesn't show, right? So, in regards to that was the situation that was it made sense because it wasn't that far away from my accident. But like, in regards to if something similar happened now, I could say that, but like, it would be kind of weird because I've gone above that situation. So it would be funny, but nevertheless, it is necessary, if you have an issue, that you be able to clearly and clearly explain it to them. Clearly explain it to the people around you, that you are in a situation where you're not completely there yet. And I mean, I know you don't have to, but if you want things to go smoothly and people be like, okay, I understand the situation now, I understand it better, and can I help you? In what way can I help you? Right? If they're smart enough, they'll be like, how can I help you? To the best of my abilities, right? So it also depends on their frame of mind, as much as your openness to be open about what is currently happening within you and what you need for things to go smoothly. Okay? So, is there anything that you can do to make your need for help as understandable as possible? Ponder that.